Planning something with your spouse can be a stressful endeavor and things can go left. My husband and I just planned our first, hosted dinner gathering abroad with some friends and connections we made here. And it was the smoothest, it was real smooth sailing. We talked about it today. We debriefed after yesterday. It was smooth sailing. And there were definitely, if I tried to pinpoint a couple of things that we did, two in particular that really made it smooth sailing. And that's what I want to share in this video. Look, if y'all saw my video yesterday, y'all know that the cooties has caught me. Okay, the kids was like sniffly, runny nose, and now here I am. So I don't know how long we're gonna do this. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna just jump in. We're gonna dive in and see how this goes. So one of the first things is, it's gonna sound real simple, real basic, but stay with me. Is ooh, the sinuses, y'all. I'm sorry. This is not forced suspense. This is just me gathering myself. You see, I'm wearing glasses and everything. I'm just trying to create. I want to be all in the close up today. I would say the first thing, though it sounds basic, was preparation, like preparing in all senses of the word. So, or in every sense of the word. Yeah, that's how that goes. You see. Oh, we talked about how many people we're going to invite, what we wanted to do, what the vibe was, keeping it really simple. We're both on the same page about that. What food we wanted to serve, because did we want to outsource anything? And Austin definitely wanted to cook, but what did he have the capacity to cook? Because I can't cook for like large groups of people, and it was only about 11 adults and 10 children, which is significant, in an intimate gathering, significant. And we talked about all this stuff beforehand. So we were aligned. It wasn't like somebody thought it was going to be like a small affair, 8 to 10 people. And then somebody else was like, oh, I thought we were inviting like 25, 30 people. That's a big difference in terms of budget, in terms of vibe, in terms of planning. Um, and so we just got together and talked about what we thought of what it was going to look like, and we were comfortable with sorry, random thing just popped up on my screen, and we were comfortable with pivoting if we need to, because we had our initial menu and we had some stuff on there, and then we're like, we're not going to do that. I'm like, maybe we could add roast potatoes, and then later was like, we're not going to do that. Like, we could have, but we didn't, and it's fine. And we also, he also knew, like, hey, I'm going to be the one cooking. I knew it, he knew it, we both knew it. You know what I mean? It's not a surprise. And so that meant for me, I had an understanding what my role was, which was I was going to do like shopping for all the little things we needed. And I was going to set up the space, because our apartment, the kids can't really run around and stuff like that. So we use the event space downstairs in the building. And we um my job was to set that up, set up the table, set up the chairs. What's the vibe? How is it gonna look? I did a little kid zone in the back. I like zones. Okay, shout out to my friend Samara if she's watching this, because she's always like pointing out how I plan things out and how I zone things out. So shout out to you. But yeah, I had like a little kid zone area where the kids ate. Okay, then we had a U shape for the adults, where the adults ate, because I didn't want it to just be a big long table, because I think that distracts from the intimacy. Then I had a section over here where it was kind of off in the cut for folks who are breaking their fast. After they break their fast, they can make prayer there. And then also a little crafting station with painting and colors and coloring books and scissors and glitter paper and all the creative things for the kids to entertain the kids, because there wasn't no Wi-Fi, wasn't no TV, wasn't any Netflix. So a little station to entertain the kids. So that was also, so that's my strength, and that was my brainchild for that. So he didn't have to go downstairs and look at anything. He knew I was taking care of all of that. He didn't come and peek in to see what I was doing and ask me anything about that. And I didn't come into his domain in the kitchen. I think that is part of the flow as well. we're not micromanaging the other person's things. Once we got the role and got that together, okay, my son ran in, whoosh, and I had to handle that because that would have been interesting to handle here. Um, so, ooh, what was I saying? You know how you just have a moment, and I feel like I was in the midst of it, and that's when he knew to come running in with something, and I was like, let me address this, y'all. Mommy brain is real. Brain fog when you're not feeling well is real. I was I know it's gonna come back to me. But basically we didn't get in each other's domain and in each other's spaces and micromanage. There was trust of like, I'm gonna take care of the setup and it's gonna flow and it's gonna look great. You're gonna take care of the food and it's gonna taste great and it's gonna be great. And we let each other do our thing. I think some people do not like this analogy, but I think that it's a good one. Approaching planning something like this with your spouse is if you were in a planning meeting with fellow employees, with colleagues, because when you approach a meeting with colleagues and you guys are planning for a project, everybody's tossing their ideas out there. You come together, decide exactly what it's going to be from those ideas. Some things get tossed out, some things actually become things that are going to be implemented, and you toss that around. Maybe somebody's a little salty about their idea and get picked, but they're like, okay, the consensus is like, this is going to be best for this project. Great. Then you delegate who's going to do what are the roles, and then they get to go and do their thing. You get to come together and collaborate on something ideally great. And approaching planning with your spouse in a sense of like, let's get together and talk about what our expectations are, making sure that we're in lines with everything, making sure that we feel good about what the vibe is and what our plans actually are, and checking in with each other on that, making a decision, and then deciding how we're both going to contribute to that decision, what our roles are going to be. And sometimes it also allows us to take some of our emotions out of it if we think about it as we're coming to a planning meeting, with a partner. And it's easier said than done because our partners we have different relationships with. If you have a history of feeling like your ideas are being steamrolled or not being heard, then that could be challenging. And to that, I would encourage us, like, this is not something that I can coach through in a nice, neat bow right here. But to that, I would say, let all the ideas come out. Let all the ideas be heard. Write down all the ideas without it being dismissed, without it being, anything that says that's not the idea that you like. And then you come revisit it and say, hey, let's really look at what makes sense from both of what we said. I have a friend who's a parents coach who does this with kids at family meetings. Like, no ideas are bad ideas. Every idea gets on the board. Your 3-year-old says that the best way for us to do meal prep is to have ice cream, every dinner, and you're like, okay, we know that's not going to happen, but we're going to validate the fact that you contributed. But for an adult, you're not doing this in a way that you would do it with kids, right? Because you're not treating each other like kids, but you truly are like, hey, we don't even know, this might flow. It might be interesting and creative. Let's just put all the things and all the ideas into the pot. Like, imagine somebody coming to the meeting and saying, okay, y'all, who has some ideas for us to jot down? We're brainstorming here. And for that, you could put everything down. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that piece. But yeah, that planning and thinking, coming to it as if you're going to put your ideas out, decide what you're going to do together, and then figure out what role each of you plays in that, and then allow you all trust that you're going to do your thing in that role. That is a biggie. You're going to do your thing in that role. You don't need to be supervised or watched over. Whoever is that person may need to like let the reins go, not not feel that you don't have to be in such control, and everything's going to be fine. And sometimes you're going to have to pivot, and sometimes things are not going to go as planned. Being okay with that too, and at least in your mindset having an expectation that that happens. It happens at a lot of events, right? It happens with a lot of projects. And learning to pivot helps us be stronger, more resilient as a couple. The second thing that we did, what was the second thing we did? Was well, that was the second thing. It was the role thing, y'all. And this video is, y'all, I promised myself I'm coming no matter what. I'm gonna be here every day for 100 days. But if my brain is not mush tonight, because that was the second thing, was the us having our role. So preparing, having the discussion, getting it all out was like the first part, and then us executing our specific roles and not micromanaging each other. Those were the big things, to be honest. It went so smooth because my husband stayed up here in the kitchen and I stayed downstairs, and I stayed walking to the store, grabbed some things, set everything up downstairs. Sovereign helped me too because she likes to be a helper. So she came in as my helper in terms of the setup. And yeah, I told her, the flow and my vision. And it's just a beautiful thing because we're playing to our strengths. My husband is an amazing cook, and he's also very passionate about cooking, and he enjoys sharing his cooking with other people. So, like, duh, he's the cook person. I actually enjoy creating space, executing a vision, having a vibe, like little details like that. I brought my diffuser down. I had the music playlist, right? I wanted to play like 90s hip hop R&B. Now here's the thing with the 90s hip hop R&B playlist, that you never know what they're going to say, and there were like 11 children at this event. So I found a playlist that played it but instrumentals. So you still getting the vibe, you still might be singing along in your head or maybe out loud, but depending on what the lyrics are or were, the kids aren't subjected to certain lyrics, right? So yeah, that's what we did. And it went smoothly. And so hopefully somewhere along the line in this video where your girl is battling a cold or whatever is happening, coughing and all the things, there were things that you can glean. There were things that were helpful. There were things that were beneficial. When you're like, next time when my spouse and I are planning something together, I'm going to keep this in mind. Maybe one thing from this video resonated. If it did, I would love to know what it is. Help a sister out, let her know, like, girl, even though your brain is mush, you did all right today. You did all right. You know, leave an encouraging word, an encouraging or what resonated with you from this video. I'd appreciate it. And if you like this video, that's give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. If conversations like this, I do have somewhat more coherent conversations like this around how we can have more feel good relationships with ourselves and feel good in our skin, as well as with our partners through the trials, challenges, changes, and transitions that are inevitable in our lives. I was going to get that out. I was going to get that out by hook or by crook. And there it is. So that's what we do. That's what we discuss here on the channel. Also, my lessons from living abroad, which is the most current and biggest change and transition that my husband and I and our family are moving through. And so you get to see that in real time, what I'm picking up on and what I'm learning. Y'all, we got to host our first event here. In the 2 months that we've been here, we have made connections to the point where we can host a dinner party, an iftar during Ramadan. It was like, that still baffles me and blows my mind. And I feel immense gratitude for being able to have connection, and not just like one or two people, but just like several couples and families that we can hang out with that have been helpful and encouraging and have been through the same transition as we have in varying times, whether it's 3 years ago, whether it's 1 year ago, whether it's back in 2012, and it's been several years ago. There's just a wealth of knowledge, and they're just cool people. And I love that for us. Uh, I love that for us. So, yeah. So, if these kinds of conversations are your vibe, please subscribe. And I will see you tomorrow.